Greetings, peoples of planet Earth and those who fail to meet that description. And do you hate capitalism? I know I sure do. That's why I don't live anywhere. Well, today we're gonna be talking about a very anti-capitalism game, which in the spirit of its message, I did not pay for. It was a gift from a friend, okay? I didn't pirate it. I would never commit piracy, I'd much sooner do manslaughter. But my potential crime list aside, let's talk about Stardew Valley, the game that allows you to live out every Gen Zer's ultimate fantasy of owning a house and having a reliable source of income, and also being able to put some old man's underwear into communal soup, which is something I had always dreamed of doing. Stardew Valley is a farming game where you take on a role of a freshly new farmer who's been recently disillusioned with the life-sucking nightmare that is a corporate job and moved into an old farmhouse in Pelican town of Stardew Valley, which they inherited from their grandpa who doesn't have time for it anymore because he's too busy being dead. And in this lovely little cottagecore game, you get to spend your time developing your farm, earning money and getting bitches, while also enjoying a nice little side hustle of fixing the entire town because the mayor is too busy farting about and being an asshole to a woman he's sleeping with to do his damn job. I've been a mayor of Pelican Town for over 20 years. No one ever runs against me when it's time for an election. I like to think that means I'm doing my job well. I feel like that's just because everyone else has a job. Unlike you. Honestly, a really cool update idea for this game. There should be an option for the player to take over as the town's mayor. Like, come on. We've already done so much more in 1 year for this town than Lewis ever did in his entire career. We deserve the title. I'd even be happy if the path towards mayorhood was paved with Lewis's dead body as a result of a mysterious canoe accident. But even without this feature, this is still one of my favorite games of all time, if not the favorite game ever. It's essentially a turn your brain off and just vibe type of experience. It's very easy, there's not much to struggle with. The hardest thing about this game is the way I get whenever I see Sebastian, which as I mentioned before is right up my ass. I mean alley. Like I said, I don't like difficult games because to me a video game is a means of escaping reality. If I want to be challenged, I just live my life. And Stardew Valley allows you complete freedom over how you want to play it. There is a story and an objective in this game, but it's entirely optional. It's mainly there to give you more of a guideline so the game isn't entirely purposeless. However you choose to progress it though is entirely up to you. You're in charge here. You're the king. You decide if they live or die. I'm just kidding, you can't kill people in this game, sadly. Boo! Now how am I supposed to get my manslaughter charges? Now, the main objective of this game is to basically fix the entire town, and there are two opposing methods by which you can do that. The first is the community center route, aka the God-intended one, and the second is the Joja route, for those who prefer their cottagecore games with a little more capitalism in it. Now, the community center route is widely accepted as the main objective of the game, both because it's seemingly the one the game intends for you to take, and the one that's just more fun and better and makes you so much more attractive to every gender there is. I've heard people refer to the Joja route as the evil route, and I can definitely see why. Like, Joja Corporation in this game is basically the looming antagonist, a massive corporate entity towering over the little guy, slowly reaching its slimy tendrils into everyone's household and threatening a hostile takeover. That was a very long sentence. This company gives me the vibe of like if Coca-Cola and Apple had a baby out of wedlock and the baby was into NFTs. It's very sinister. The opening cutscene actually shows that our player character used to work at Joja, and it paints the saddest picture of what kind of work environment this company provides. The office space looks very drab and lame. It's so gray and lifeless, with the only hint of decor being the Joja propaganda plastered all over the walls.
Join us, thrive.
Ah yes, I am indeed very thriving. The office space looks crowded and claustrophobic, with some ominous suits positioned at either side of the room overlooking the workers. There's also this little blinking light labeled work and break, implying both a robotically strict work schedule, as well as just serving as a constant ordering being thrown at the workers. Work, 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 you're not working hard enough, work, work! The closer look into the cubicles shows them looking dirty and gross, and the only seemingly happy worker apparently being dissociated out of his mind with having nothing but energy drinks running through his veins. Also, he looks like Woody for some reason. Capitalism got so bad even the toys have to get a job. There's also a camera placed in every single cubicle pointed directly at the workers, as if those suits weren't enough of a surveillance. Makes me think, actually, are those two like doing their job? Like, is this something that they're actively being paid to do? Or are they just some executives whose hobby it is to watch other people suffer? Not gonna lie, the second does sound kind of funny. Like, these bastards are just sadists standing there probably edging themselves like, yes, make that spreadsheet. There's also an empty cubicle with the word terminated plastered all over the desk, which feels so needlessly ominous. It's like the company is constantly dangling the threat of workers losing their job over their heads. Like, they couldn't just leave a cubicle empty. No, they had to set a reminder that someone used to be here, and now they're gone. And it could be you next. Also, the specific usage of the word terminated instead of laid off or even fired makes it feel even more ominous. Terminated sounds like something a robot would say after it kills someone. And speaking of which, there's a literal dead body in one of the cubicles as well. A decomposed one at that. Like, that has been there for a while. Does this place not have like a janitor or an undertaker? I don't know. I know it's just a visual gag to like further hammer home how miserable this company is, but I love the implication of a worker just literally working themselves to death and the company just leaving their body there to decompose. That is so cartoonishly evil, it's hilarious. When you're with Joja, you're with us till death do us part. Actually, might not even after that. You're stuck with us. You'll continue your job in hell. So to summarize, Joja Corporation sucks big stinky balls. It's a bad corporation. Bad corporation? Yeah, I know, right? But the opening cutscene isn't the last we see of Joja in this game. In Pelican Town, there is a Joja Mart, a mini branch of this evil, ever-growing parasite of a company, showing that its sinister reach is already making its way to as remote of a town as this one. Just like cancer, it grows. Joja Mart is one of the places where you can buy crop seeds, cooking ingredients, and a plethora of Joja merchandise for those really loyal to their brand. That is the ugliest, most soulless design I have ever seen. Ugh. I wonder if the similarity between the Watch Mojo logo were intentional. I never understand people who do this kind of stuff in real life, by the way. Like, what is the pleasure of dick riding a company this hard? You know, it's not gonna call you back in the morning, and it's not gonna pay alimonies either. You're just gonna be stuck with a constant reminder plastered all over your walls that you have fed the corporate entity that probably profits off of child slavery. The only thing I want adorning my walls in the room is that Shadow the Hedgehog nice cock meme. It does not support any child labor, and it makes me feel appreciated. Now, Joja Mart is a direct competitor to a local family-owned business belonging to a guy named Pierre, who sucks his own share of balls, but he is better? Like, I want to say at least he's not a money-hungry, soulless corporation, but what he is a money-hungry, soul-having person. So, like, I honestly feel like the only thing preventing Pierre from being a power-hungry executive is the fact that he lost the birth lottery. Were the stars aligned in his favor, this man would be betting on Squid Games. He's definitely already planning to register his name as a brand and go global with it, I just know it. Pierre complains about Joja stealing business from him a lot, and he is right to do as much. The character Morris, who's the manager of Joja Mart and the representative of Joja as a whole in Pelican Town, is an absolute rat bastard. Like, there's a scene of him showing up to advertise discount coupons for his lame-ass store at Pierre's shop, which is the action equivalent to wearing a sign that says, "I am the asshole through which a camel is more likely to fit than I am to make into heaven." It's so damn slimy, you'd think he was a children's YouTube content farm. But Pierre isn't exactly a saint himself. He's just as motivated by profit as Joja. The only thing that makes him better is the fact that he doesn't have as much carbon footprint. Yet. Like, this guy's core personality trait is being a business owner. He spends every single festival in the valley selling stuff, not using the time to connect with people or even to hang out with his family. No, this man just sees local gathering as a business venue. Even fucking Gus, the owner of the town's saloon who takes care of food for pretty much all of the festivals, still spends time with the people. My guy is both providing high-class meals for the community and has the time to mingle with them. Freaking love Gus, I swear. Pierre is also very much guilty of the bulk buying and upselling crime. Like, there's a quest you can do where you collect a bunch of high produce for him, and this walking stonks meme of a person tries to sell it at a 10 times the market price. Funniest part of this is when no one wants this shit because it's a small town and people can't afford it, he tries to sell it back to you for 1 gold more than he bought it for. Sir, please discover shame. Like, this guy has more audacity than the audio program I'm using to complain about him. But on top of being a greedy business owner, he's also just a secretive little bastard to his wife Caroline. Like, he has a stash of money that he hides from her, probably saving it to put towards that brand deal registration. And if you tell him that his wife deserves to know about it, he gets really pissed off at you. I didn't even say I was gonna tell her, I just said that she should know. Like, don't marry someone if you're gonna be dishonest to them. And on top of that, he's not the best with his daughter Abigail either. There's implication that he is ridiculously sexist to her, which, yeah, sure, why not? Let's add misogyny to this man's list of offenses. It's like he's collecting them. So yeah, between Joja and Pierre, it's kind of like the elections in the US. It's a matter of picking the lesser of two evils. The game, however, does a really good job at presenting Pierre as a much more appealing option than the Joja Mart. Like, as many issues as I listed Pierre having, I can't say nearly as much about Morris, mainly because Morris isn't really as much of a character. His entire personality revolves around Joja. Literally all his dialogue is just ass-kissing this massive corporation. He's not considered one of the villagers, he can't even be befriended, which is so heartbreaking because I really wanted to do that. He's more of a visual representation of a game mechanic than a character, as opposed to Pierre, who, all things considered, is presented like an actual person. A shitty person, sure, but hey, maybe that makes him feel even more alive. And that is the core dichotomy between both Pierre and Joja and the two main routes of the game, the concept of lively versus lifeless. Pierre's shop, while being smaller, is much more visually appealing than Joja Mart. The colors of it are warm and cozy, there's always music playing, and Pierre often greets you himself when you walk in. You can also talk to him, and he even has a portrait next to his shop to further illustrate friendliness. Pierre's shop is also a home to both his wife and daughter, who he's disrespecting, so there's a lot of life in this small little corner. There's also this little altar area dedicated to a deity called Yoba, which is a name that sounds really funny in my native language. Yoba! According to Caroline, this was set up by the previous owners of the place, and even though their family has no use for it, they decided to keep it so the religious folk of the town have a place to worship, which is honestly pretty nice. Like, the town doesn't have a church, probably because you can't tax those, but it's nice that the community finds a way to work around it for the sake of those who need it. And the communal vibe is further strengthened by this little area where every Tuesday the women of the town gather together for some joint fitness. This is just one small shop, but it has so many functions, which really helps to paint a picture of a small but tight village. Like, people are actually living here. There's life happening. Contrast that with Joja Mart, which has no other purpose beyond being a place where you can buy expired frozen pizza. Like, yeah, it does also run a community development project, implying it can serve as a good contributor to the town, but only if you load it with a bunch of money. And it also ends up serving more to help Joja Corporation grow than it does to help the town in any way. With regards to the visual differences, the mart looks much bigger than Pierre's shop, and somehow manages to look both overstacked and empty at the same time. I don't know how it does that, but that's how it makes me feel. Like, it's overwhelming, but at the same time it feels like something's missing. It makes me feel uncomfortable. The colors of this place are cold and uninviting, and it's always silent inside, with the only sounds you ever hear being the humming of an air conditioning, which is probably turned to freezing temperatures to make sure you really want to stay in there as little as possible. Morris isn't an NPC you can talk to. He's only there to serve the function of signing you up for a Joja membership and later getting the community upgrades. He never leaves or says anything not related to Joja, which makes him feel like a line of code than a character. Which, I mean, that is what he is exactly, but typically characters in a video game are supposed to create the illusion of being alive, and Morris feels dead. The clerk can't be interacted with either. She doesn't even have a name, never says anything. She is literally just a sprite, a set of pixels animated to always look tired and sick of everything, further reiterating the pattern of all Joja employees being miserable. There are two actual villagers who work at Joja Mart, Sam and Shane, but you can't talk to either of them when they're actually working. Their job prevents them from simulating a human, further compounding this feeling of Joja employees all being robotic and lifeless. Nothing interesting ever happens at Joja Mart. Like, it's always empty. You only ever see Pam and Jody occasionally walk inside to purchase stuff, and that's it. So yeah, Joja Mart is a very boring location, and it feels very out of place in this small little town, like it's not even supposed to be there. But beyond the aesthetics, the game also incentivizes you to favor Pierre's shop more by being located closer to your farm, farm, as well as having cheaper prices and overall a bigger stock of wallpaper, flooring, and also fruit trees. Which is the one thing I don't really understand, because the game kind of makes a point that Joja is a better option because it's cheaper. It's also why it's posing a threat to Pierre, because he can't afford to give the discounts they can. But like, that's just not the case in the game. I get that incentivizes further to shop at Pierre more, but I can also see the argument being made that having cheaper prices at Joja would create more of a dilemma with deciding between the two options. Like, do I support the local business even in spite of how much it's bankrupting me and is also closed every Wednesday? That's technically the one downside of Pierre. Before you fix the community center, he's closed every Wednesday, which honestly isn't that big of a deal, and I actually kind of like it because it makes him feel much more alive. Like, the man needs some rest. But I also find it keeps biting me in the ass every time I play. Like, I'd have this meticulous plan on how I'm gonna plant all my crops, all marked down to the day, and then bam, I forgot about Wednesday, and now I can't get my seeds because he's closed. Now I have to go to Joja or lose a day worth of progress. There is no ethical consumption under capitalism on Wednesdays. It's the next day. I had to take a break because my voice was getting tired. Also, yes, the camera is at a different angle. That's just to keep things interesting. But overall, the dichotomy between Joja Mart and Pierre's General Store is one of the elements of this game's anti-capitalist message, which it also tries to deliver by presenting the community center route as the default way of playing the game. Like, we can have our conversation about whichever route you personally prefer, but it's very clear which was the route the game intended for you to take. It's like those illusion of choice games where you're technically allowed to choose what you want to say in dialogue, but the choices are basically the right choice or the choice that's gonna give you the bad ending. The power's in your hands. Do you want to win or do you want to lose? That's up to you. And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing in Stardew Valley's case. It's similar to Undertale in that its intended route is tied to the game's main message. Like in Undertale, the message is about the power of kindness and perseverance. So the true ending where you don't take a single life gets you the most fun. You get to meet all the cool characters, engage in some insanely creative battles, and be rewarded with a super heartwarming ending, which, while cheesy as hell, is rewarding because you actively worked for it. Compare that with the genocide route, which is tedious, boring, depressing, and very anticlimactic. The most engagement you get from it is literally in the battle where the character is delivering you a reality check. And at the end, it's all just over. You killed everyone. Now everyone's dead. The hell did you expect? It's the same thing with Stardew Valley. The point of this game is about the value of hard work and connections with nature, which is why the community center route is the one where you get the most involvement. Because of the way it's set up, it feels like an actual story unraveling before your eyes, and the things you need to do for it incentivize you to engage with pretty much all of the game's main mechanics. Compare that with Joja route, which just incentivizes you to throw money at your problems. Now, I have seen arguments made in defense of either route. The consensus seem to be that the community center route is more fun and engaging one, as well as just feeling nicer for the soul, while the Joja route is just easier. Plus, it has a more tangible long-term reward. Like, if you do the community center route, you get a trophy for it, which does nothing beyond sit still, look pretty, and if you do the Joja route, you get a vending machine that supplies you with the most useless food item in the game once per day. To me, there's virtually no difference between the two. I even prefer the trophy because at least it feels like it means people like me. Plus, it looks nicer. The vending machine is ugly. Seriously, Joja Cola is such a nothing burger of an item. It only gives you like 13 points of energy and a few seconds of a speed boost, and it costs 75 gold at Joja Mart. That is equal to 3 whole seed of parsnips. God damn, I almost mistook that for a band-aid. It's such a rip-off. Also, fun fact, Joja Cola can be fished out of water, under which conditions it will be labeled as trash, which is very fitting. I also love the implication that Joja Cola sucks so much, people are relatively frequently just throwing it into the water. I don't know why not just in the trash can, like why should the streams have to suffer? But back to our routes, I can definitely see the incentive to do the Joja Mart route if you find the community center to be tedious, but I can also see the point of not wanting to do the Joja route because it's boring as shit, if not more boring. Like, I actively have more fun taking a shit. Like, even aesthetically, there is just so much more stuff to engage with the community center route than the Joja route. The community center, which at the beginning of the game is largely abandoned, island has been made a home for these cute little forest critters called Junimos, who offer to help restore the center back to its glory days in exchange for gifts of the valley. And that alone makes this route feel so cute and whimsical. Like you're literally cooperating with these adorable little forest spirits to bring life back into the community. It also feels like you're essentially honoring the valley in that sense, since you're collecting the items directly from it to aid in restoration of this once beautiful and active center. It's like the valley itself is aiding the community. The game also has a way of celebrating every milestone you make while collecting stuff for the center. Everything you do is accompanied by pretty visuals and cute sound effects. And every time you finish a bundle of items, you receive a little gift for your troubles. And every time you finish a room, you get a really cute moment with the Junimos where they put on a star on this big plaque to signify a milestone towards completing the center, almost like they're happy about it themselves, even though the abandoned center is their current home. And then they follow you while you stay inside and occasionally jump and do that cute little squeak noise. It's so freaking cute. I desperately need a little Junimo squishy. I just need to and I know most of this stuff is just aesthetics, but I'm a simple man. I dig that little dopamine boost. But guess what? Joja Route has none of this stuff. You just pick whichever community upgrade you want from this dull little checklist that somebody probably threw together from a PowerPoint template in like 3 seconds, and there you go, you're done. Now you get to watch a cutscene of Morris and his nameless goons fix some stuff, and they don't even make cute squeaky noises. Boo, I hate this. Now again, I do see preferring to do the Joja route if you favor speed, for example, and you want to get to late game faster. The community center route is very tedious in that it requires a myriad of different items. Each you have to collect one by one, with some items not even being available until certain points in the game, such as season-specific crops, forage, and fish, as well as the red cabbage item, the seeds for which become available at the shops only after year 1. So the community center is likely to take you at least a year to complete. Maybe sooner if you're like a speed-running god, but nonetheless, it will take a lot of work. And Joja Mark doesn't require anything specific, it just needs money. So it doesn't invite the player into engaging with all of the gameplay mechanics. It invites you to find whichever earns you the most money and just spam the hell out of it. Just buy a bunch of pigs and you're set for life. But besides that, the communal rewards are all the same. Greenhouse, quarry, panning, the bus, etc, etc. You get all the same stuff from Joja Mart as you would the community center, except for one. In the community center, one of the bundle categories is the bulletin board, and when you finish that, you get awarded friendship points with some of the villagers. And Joja Mart doesn't have that perk. You don't get any friendship for doing the Joja route. I've heard of subtext, but this is dom text. But the remaining differences are again mainly aesthetics. When you complete the center, you get a really cute cutscene of all the vigilants. When you complete the center, you get a really cute cutscene of all the villagers gathered together at the center to admire it, and you either get to listen to a very heartwarming speech from the second worst person in the town, or watch Morris get his shit rocked, which I can't help but feel like the latter is a bit underwhelming. Like, I feel like it would have been more satisfying if Morris was more of a dick to deserve it, you know? Like, don't get me wrong, he sucks and swallows, but he is such a non-character that I don't feel anything particularly strong about him to wanting to see him get beat. I don't hate Morris, I feel indifferent towards him. I hate Pierre. I could honestly criticize the game for this. Like, I can see what they're going for. It really does help to solidify Joja as a soulless corporation by having its representative feel more like a mouthpiece for the entire company than an actual person. But I don't think it would have felt worse if Morris was more of a character. Morris, more like less is. There's a mod for this game called Stardew Valley Expanded, and amongst other things, it fleshes out Morris a bit more. Like, it adds more cutscenes with him, it makes him do more stuff in the town, and you can even befriend him now. But not marry though, which is such a letdown because I really wanted to do that. And honestly, I don't think it ruins the overall message of the game at all. So I feel like if Morris had more to do, like if he was a bit more annoying, it would have been so much more satisfying to see him fall. That's why I typically go for the speech part at the end of the community. It feels in the spirit of the route anyway. Like, you've come all this way, befriended all these characters, collected all these items, and now you get to see the fruits of your labor. Everyone is coming together and celebrating your work. It's very satisfying. The only thing that kind of undermines the message is the fact that the community center, after it's restored, largely does nothing. It's just there. It's another place where characters hang out sometimes, and that's it. I mean, I don't know what I expected, but I feel like it could have been more interesting. However, it's still better than the Joja route. The cutscene you get after completing the Joja community development project sees you greeted by Morris with a bunch of nameless Joja employees in front of an old community center turned warehouse, where he just gives you a generic speech he probably had ChatGPT generate for him. This is giving me flashbacks to all those company-mandated banquets I had to attend at my old job, where you're forced to drink whether you like it or not, and someone is gonna give a PowerPoint presentation about how we all need to work even harder because we're all family, even though we're not gonna pay you for the mandatory overtime or help you get a worker's visa, even though we specifically promised this much. The community center cutscene is much more lively. It's all the characters you know coming together and enjoying the sight of the central town building coming back to life. You can really feel that the joy everyone feels is authentic, while Morris just gives you his speech for a check mark, and he's probably gonna forget your name the second he's done shaking your hand. It's very much a hydraulic bomb versus coughing baby in terms of satisfaction it provides. So overall, like I said, I can see why anyone would favor either route over the other. Some people may prefer the extra challenge of the community center, and some people may just be evil. But it's very clear which of the routes the game prefers you to do, because it's the one that has the most interesting stuff put in. The game also has a very sneaky way of incentivizing the player into taking the community center route. It basically just puts you on the path of the community center and doesn't tell you that's what it's doing, or that you even had a choice in the matter. You do have a choice, but before you're even given the knowledge to decide, you're given intrigue for one option, and while you work to satisfy that intrigue, you get more and more invested, not realizing you've basically made a choice already, or that there even was one to begin with. And how does the game do that? Well, thank God you asked, because otherwise I wouldn't have told you, and I really want to. So allow me to go ahead and analyze this real quick, because I do think it's interesting from like a game design perspective. Game design, not game design. What the fuck? Let's take a look at this from the eyes of a first-time player. So, you're plopped into a new game, and after you're done planting your first batch of parsnips, you're off to explore the town and meet all the villagers. Everything is new and interesting. You have no idea what's going on. All you know is that you've got a lot of things to discover, a lot of secrets to uncover, and a lot of NPCs to romance. While you explore, you naturally come across some big dilapidated building which you can't enter because it's locked, and that instantly piques your interest. Oh boy, I wonder what's in it, and how do I get inside? Suspense, suspense! Seeing no lead to follow, you make a mental note of it and move on, exploring the rest of the map. You then make your way all the way outside the town and come across this magic-looking tower thing, which you also can't get into, but the prompt tells you that someone is definitely inside. Interest piques some more. I wonder who lives there. Wonder what they're doing. Hopefully they're not cooking anything illegal in there. Then you make your way up to the mountains and enter the carpenter's house. As you explore their house to learn everything about the characters, you find your way into the basement, the room which you can't enter, but you can see a really cute looking guy sitting inside, and you naturally start to wonder how can you get in and make him your— oh wait, no, sorry, that's just me. My bad. Disregard that last part. Okay, so a few days go by, you haven't figured out how to enter the strange building or the tower, but upon arriving to the town one day, you're greeted with a cutscene of Mayor Lewis wallowing before that dilapidated building. He then explains it's an old community center and laments about its poor state. It used to be the pride and joy of the town, and now look at it. How sad. If only someone had a bunch of gold that they could use on fixing it up instead of making a giant statue of themselves and were also the mayor of the town. How nice would that have been? The mayor leads you inside where your character sees one of these little fuckers. That's the Junimos, but you don't know that yet. And the mayor doesn't see them, probably because they don't trust to show themselves to him knowing how much he sucks. Nonetheless, you don't get an answer for who they are, and after the cutscene ends, the Lewis tells you he'll keep the community center open from now on, as well as a little text pop-up pretty much directly inviting you to go back inside and explore some more. The game pretty directly tells you, hey, some interesting's going on there. You should go inside. So like a good boy, you do that. You go inside and see that the place is very much dead and has nothing, save for this one glowing little thingy with a Junimo right next to it, which runs off right as you get close. Come on, I don't think I smell that bad. You interact with this weird little scroll and realize it's written in Minecraft enchanting table, so you can't tell what it says. Weird. and that's the last lead you had. But at this point, you're very invested. Some magical bullshit's going on here, and that is my favorite kind of bullshit.
Then the next day you shoo away those fucking crows off your parsnips.
You check your mail and see that you've been sent an invitation by some Rasmodius the Wizard, urging you to enter his tower, promising to help you with those weird rats in the community center. Oh wow, that's the tower I saw, and that's the help I've been hoping to get. Oh wow, my investment paid off all on its own. So you make your way to the tower and meet Rasmodius the Wizard, who tells you a bit of the lore about the Junimos, and now you know they're the Junimos, and also helps you decipher the scroll by giving you some suspicious looking substance to drink in order to infuse you with the power of the forest and allow you to see the meaning of the scrolls, which also causes you to hallucinate and write some hilarious stand-up material. Oh wow, I wonder what kind of plant was in that. Who gave you the recipe? Your friend Mary Jane? So all that magic bullshit later, you're now able to read the scrolls and you see that it's requiring you to collect some items. Oh wow, direction! I love following those. And I'm already invested in whatever the fuck is happening right now. I lost the plot. Something. I ended up drinking green plant goo from a wizard. How did I end up here? What happened? You see how seamless that happened? You're just following the leads the game keeps throwing at you, and suddenly you're on the community center path, and you didn't even realize it was happening, you fucking moron. The game directly catches your interest in doing the community center by how it presents it to you. It doesn't just give you a list of things to collect. No, it incentivizes you into caring about it by throwing bits of story and lore your way. And as you're searching to find more answers, you're naturally taking the path the game wants you to take. There is absolutely no equivalent of this to the Joja route. The game barely even tells you have an option to take here. Lewis just has this bit of dialogue where he mentions that he's gonna sell the old community center if anyone else buys a Joja membership, and you don't even know that he's talking about you. I mean, at least I didn't. I actually thought for a while the Joja route wasn't even a thing. Like, I heard people talking about it and I thought it was just a myth. I will admit that could just be me. I am very susceptible to idiocy. Speaking of which, I just realized my AC was on this entire time. Meaning you could hear it.
Dumbass!
You know what? I'm gonna leave it on. Fuck it. It's ambiance. Enjoy. But yeah, this is how the game treats its two routes. One offers you an engaging story to follow, and the other is the Joja route. With that, the game basically hammers home the message it's trying to deliver. Favoring the community over corporate may be more tedious, but it will ultimately be more engaging and more rewarding. I could say it might be seen as a flaw that the Joja route isn't as obvious as the community center route. Like, I feel like it wouldn't make the message any worse if you had like a scene of Morris trying to convince you to buy the Joja membership or getting some mail about it. Lewis's line about selling the community center is the only thing that hints towards the Joja route besides the direct text you get when you're about to buy the Joja membership, which frankly during my first playthrough I didn't even see this because I had forgotten about the Joja membership being set up and I never went back to Joja Mart because it was boring in there. But I actually think it works better this way because one, it's sort of in the spirit of the Joja route to just not be as interesting, and two, it actually works in favor of the new player since it makes it harder for them to end up on the worser path of their first playthrough, which also ensures that they'll have more of a direction to follow. Because the community center route incentivizes you to interact with every main game mechanic. You have to farm, forage, fish, fight, fuck, and mine to collect all the stuff you need for the bundles, which allows you to naturally learn of all the aspects of the game. You know what crops you should plant on each season, you know what to look for and what to collect, and the Joja route doesn't offer you any of that direction. It just tells you to make money. On one hand, this is good because it allows you more freedom, but a freedom with a lack of direction can be boring. And plus, it's not like the community center route restricts your freedom in any way. You can still do whatever you want. There's no time limit to finish it, and a lot of the items you need for the bundles can be acquired in several different ways. The most obvious one is that pretty much all the required items can be brought from a traveling cart, which shows up every Friday and Sunday. With that, it's only a matter of chance when you'll have them. So yeah, I'd say that the Joja route works best if you're a returning player, not the first time player. It's good for when you've become disillusioned with doing the exact same thing over and over again, but still want to start a new game to do the same thing over and over again. And this is honestly one of the greatest things about the game. There's There's a clear objective in this with enough freedom for you to tackle it however you'd like. The game has so many mechanics to engage with that it's ultimately left to you how you want to progress it, and it's possible to progress it while only prioritizing whichever aspect of the game you personally like best. You can either play by finding the most reliable and quick method of acquiring as much money as possible, or you can create an interesting challenge for yourself with some self-imposed limitations, like only use startup tools, or only sell fish or fruit or friends, or only use mixed seeds for crops, etc, etc, marry only one bachelor. I also like this Reddit's user suggested challenge, quote, anti-capitalist, complete the community center without purchasing anything from Pierre or Joja. I just find it funny that Pierre is already seen as the non-capitalist side, but you can go even more capitalism and fuck him indefinitely. Ultimately, Stardew Valley strikes a perfect balance between freedom and objectives, and this is why this game is so great. It really encourages player creativity, both within the confines of the game itself and with creating expansions for it with mods and stuff. One of the most infamous Stardew Valley mods is the one that allows you to ride Pam like a horse, which is also something I had always dreamed of doing. But yeah, the game has a lot of stuff to work with. It's a farming game, but it's not just a farming game. There's a lot of leeway in how you interact with it, and a good demonstration of that is the several farm types that the game has. The farm types are so different, they each inspire different play styles. But funny enough, based on the players' consensus, those playstyles seem to fall into only two categories, either awesome or shit from a butt. Like, from what I've seen, most players like the standard farm, the forest farm, and the meadowlands farm, with another close favorite being the Four Corners farm, although that one is more specific to multiplayer. The other ones get consistently insulted to no end, at least from what I've seen, even though they can technically offer interesting challenges, like the farm that spawns monsters at night, or the beach farm which doesn't allow sprinklers. Although, to be fair, I feel like the only challenge that second one offers is with regards to your patience, because you'll basically be stuck in that permanent but I can still see someone strongly preferring this one as well because they just happen to like the repetitive nature of watering crops. Like, one must imagine Sisyphus happy. I am familiar with the concept of autism. But yeah, ultimately this all comes down to the game's strongest aspect, and that is its replayability, which is a very good credence to a game's quality. And it's funny I say that because I always just play the same way every time. My hobby is starting over from scratch and doing everything the same way again. I keep telling myself I'm gonna try new things, and I keep waking up next to Sebastian every time. Speaking of which, by the way, if there's anything I can complain about this game, it's the lack of interesting male bachelors. Like, I straight up only like Sebastian, and no, that is not a me problem. I'm not a picky bitch with a clear type for alternative men. The other ones just suck. It's not my fault. Like, who do we have here? A gym bro with an inflated ego who's also a creep if you play a female farmer? Ew. A Super Saiyan looking dude whose hair is the most interesting thing about him? Wow, I almost fell asleep just describing him. A drama queen writer who looks like the human form of the beast from that one Disney movie. Some doctor whose only personality is that he's a doctor. And lastly, fucking Shane, aka Mr. I Can Fix Him bait. Like, wow, the selection is really booming over here. I'm sorry if I insulted anyone's favorite boy here, but kind of your own fault for having a lame boy. Sebastian is literally the most interesting character for me. He's a closed-off, introverted guy who prefers his own company but warms up to you if you're nice to him. He has a very relatable struggle of feeling like an outcast in his own family, and it's therefore so much more gratifying when you marry him because he's just so happy to finally be appreciated. Plus, he rides a motorcycle. That is automatically hot. Like, it speaks for itself. You drive a motorcycle, run me over, please. Also, his style is that of a goth, but he is also just a freaking nerd. Like, he's into comic books and he also likes D&D, which is just so freaking real of him, and it's also really cute for some reason. Also, there's one line of his that is just so... I'm 12 and this is deep. People are just like stones skipping over water. Eventually, we're all gonna sink. Ooh, dude, you're as deep as that water we sink into. Speaking of stones, there's a certain dialogue you can get from his... I just realized I wrote bother instead of mother. There's a certain dialogue you can get from his mother, Robin, which implies that he is a weed user, and that is just really funny to me for some reason. Like, it just feels in character for him. We already know that he does smoke canonically, which in real life would actually be a problem for me because I think smoking is gross. But in fictional characters, it's hot. So, you know, wouldn't put it past him that he smokes weed as well. Also, when I was playing the game for the first time and I saw him smoking, I thought he was vaping for some reason. I don't know, the cigarette just looked like a vape. That would have honestly been a deal breaker for me, like. Check out my cute little cat mug. Has little cat paws on it. Cats, it says Cats Collection on that thing. It's also blue on the inside, so it looks like I'm drinking a pool, which has always been a dream of mine. I can't go to pools because I just go and the water's all gone and everyone is mad at me. It's a genuine problem. Also, his favorite animals are frogs, and that's because he relates to them. And that is just so freaking cute. Like, my favorite animals are cats also because I relate to them. We're so alike. Damn, I don't know if I want to be him more or fuck him more. Another reason I relate to him is because he also has an absent father figure. Which, given the presence of piercings on my face, you probably already could have guessed I had a problem with. I don't have daddy issues, my daddy had issues. Sebastian lives with his mother Robin, half-sister Maru, and stepfather Demetrius. And Demetrius is a very proud father of his daughter Maru and seems to believe that she's an only child, because I don't think he ever even mentions Sebastian. Like, at least I've never encountered any dialogue of him talking about him. It's 90% some science bullshit because he's autistic as fuck. Sometimes it's about how his wife is a bitch with anger issues, and other times it's his daughter. I wouldn't even be surprised if upon asking how his son is doing, he'll just assume it meant Maru transitioned. I'm pretty sure he thinks that Sebastian is just some guy that came free with the basement. Man has no idea what goes on in Sebastian's life, I swear. Like, I just feel bad for Sebastian, man. Like, he clearly feels overshadowed by Maru. He often laments how everyone respects her more than him. And there's even a line of dialogue where he says, would it even matter if I just disappeared? Like, Pokey, no! The Stardew Valley expanded mod that I mentioned briefly seems to fix this issue with Demetrius. Like, there's a cutscene where Demetrius actually goes out of his way to call Sebastian for dinner. And you know, as nice as that is, canonically, Demetrius sucks as a father. Like, this man wanted to be a girl dad more than he wanted to be a dad. And he's not even normal about his daughter either. When you get to 2 Hearts with Maru, you get a cutscene of him low-key threatening to turn you into a human experiment. Like, my father in Christ, I cannot stress this enough, I am not interested in your daughter. It's your son I'm trying to bag. Which, yes, you have that. But you know, I honestly love that the villagers in this game are imperfect, because it's so much more interesting and realistic that way. Like, it's overall a nice community, but everyone has weird little toxic traits to them. Caroline is a generally nice person to you, but she's a bit weird about her daughter Abigail. A lot of her dialogue is just ragging about her, complaining about her style and interests, and the funniest one to me is when she says she wishes Abigail didn't spend so much time in her room, while Abigail is barely ever in her room. Credit to my homosexual little sister for being the one who noticed that, because she frequently romances Abigail and keeps complaining about not being able to find her. There's also a cutscene where Caroline and Abby are fighting, where Abby rightfully retaliates about her parents controlling how she dresses, and Caroline brings up that they let her live here rent-free while she's at school. Girl! That is your daughter! You birthed her! What fucking rent? Oh my god! That is so messed up! You don't hold the bare minimum that you're supposed to provide to your kids over their heads as a means to control them. What the fuck? You know what? Maybe Pierre was right to hide that money from Caroline. Maybe Caroline is the problem. I mean, Pierre isn't better to Abby, but still. Why do I have such a big forehead? Is that normal? Oh, I'm in my emo mode. You know, there seems to be some kind of pattern with parents of Pelican Town just sucking fat cocks. Like, the bus driver Pam is a drunken slob and she's mean to her daughter all the time. Robin isn't the best parent either. Like, she doesn't seem to really understand her son all that much, and given how Sebastian behaves, it sounds like she also favors Maru. And besides those, there's also Jody and Kent, and Jody seems fine. Like, there's a weird thing with Sam I noticed where he doesn't seem to like her all that much. Like, he always refers to her as ma'am, and he's always reluctantly following her orders. There's also a heart event where he drops an egg and Jody, like, freaks out about it, like, bruh, it's just an egg. It takes 5 seconds to clean it up. It implies she's a bit of a control freak or something, but I don't know. And I can't say much about Kent because I don't know anything about Kent. He seems nice, like, he's a soldier who returns on the 2nd year, and he's just kind of there. Like, he's got some PTSD and all that good shit the soldiers get, but I can't really comment on him being a parent much. But overall, it feels like most of the characters in this game are imperfect, except Sebastian. Like, I'm not even being hyperbolic, I genuinely can't find anything wrong with him. It's not biased, he's just perfect. But I really don't care about any of the other bachelors. Why are the girls all getting such good choices? Like, I can see the incentive in trying to romance either of the girls, but the guys, you'll have to submit a whole essay if you want to justify any of these. 1,000 words minimum, due by Sunday. Like, all the Stardew Valley girls are so interesting. I also find it funny that the most beloved one as a marriage candidate is Haley, aka the meanest one of them all. Like, she's straight up bullying you when you first move in. She's so damn catty for no reason. Like, she calls you poor.
If it weren't for those horrendous clothes, you might actually be cute. If it weren't for that horrendous personality, you might actually be cute.
Also, she's really mean to her sister Emily, whose only crime is being kicked out of heaven because the other angels were jealous of her. Seriously, Emily might be another character that has done nothing wrong ever. She's your typical weird hippie girl archetype. Like, she talks to animals and she uses healing crystals and stuff, but she's super nice and sweet, and oh my god, she's so crazy! Love her! Actually, now that I think about it, there's a lot of bachelors who technically did nothing wrong. Sebastian isn't the only one, but he is still the best one. He's also one of the more challenging bachelors, since his most accessible loved items are frozen tear and sashimi, and you need to reach at least level 40 in the mines to find a frozen tear, and sashimi requires the 2 hearts with Linus and at least 1 house upgrade to have a kitchen. But honestly, the last one might not even matter, since if you're marrying anyone, you'll need a house upgrade either way. The old Marine straight up will not sell you the pendant if your house is too small. He calls you poor. I'll just admit I'm biased towards Sebastian because I have a type. I frequently think about how much I don't want a romance, but I struggle to see a scenario where a literal Sebastian from Stardew Valley doesn't appear in front of me and I don't immediately fold. I may be gray ace, but damn that gray area.
Also, now that I realized, a lot of bachelors have heart events where you're forced to lie in order to keep your relationship from deteriorating with them. This applies to Sam, Penny, and Maru. Like, with Sam, you gotta take the blame for the broken egg. With Penny, you gotta tell her deadly concoction tastes good. And with Maru, you gotta pretend like she didn't and just nearly kill you. The hell's that about? Sebastian doesn't require any deception, so automatically he's the best.
Also, while I talk about the bachelors, I just remembered a funny note you can find in the game that talks about the 3 older bachelors, and it tries to justify why all of them would essentially make a good husband. With Harvey, it just says he will make a loyal husband, Elliot has a nice chin, I guess, and Shane is, well, he's probably not that bad. It's so freaking funny to me. It's like whoever wrote this had a gun to their head and had to come up with something to justify either of these guys, and they just ran out of ideas for Shane. Like, well, he's awful in any way, but maybe he's nice deep down. Right, you will not catch me agreeing with Shane propaganda. I respect anyone's choices of bachelor unless it's Shane. Like, no girly pop. Even if you can fix him, you shouldn't have to. Also, his room looks like this, and when you marry him, you get that in your house. I mean, sure, it's cute, like, from the farmer's perspective, like, they're accepting him even with his ugly signs. That's sweet, sure. But good god, is that an ugly sight? Damn, bitch, you live like this? Like, I get it. Man has mental health problems. He needs therapy and all that good shit.
I'm about to say it.
But I don't care. He's a fictional character and therefore I'm allowed to insult him all I want. Honestly, if you think Shane gets it bad for me, you haven't seen me playing with Stardew Valley Expanded mod because Sophia gets it much worse and she doesn't even deserve it. Like, Shane is a dick. He's asking for it. But hating Sophia is the equivalent of kicking a puppy. She has done nothing wrong and I want to punt her across a football field. Maybe I'm the problem, but whatever. Whichever bachelor you think is the best or worst, which is Shane, it ultimately doesn't matter because at the end of the day, I'm still gonna be right.
Okay, to be serious, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter which aspect of the game you like most or least, because it's set up in a way that allows anyone to prioritize whichever it is they personally like. I joke a lot, but ultimately there isn't a wrong or right way to play this game, because it's all about freedom and personal creativity. It's about drifting away into the atmosphere of a charming little village and letting your mind rest as you explore all its wonders. That's why this game is so good, because it's all about you, the player. And it's all about me.
I didn't know where to add this, but another aspect of this game that I really like is the fact that I get to play as whichever gender I identify with. And it's just, you know, kind of nice to role-playing being a part of the community where everyone knows me as a guy and refer to me as one. Like, I know that's not something that is exclusive to Stardew Valley, but it's one of the things that adds to my enjoyment of this game specifically. Which, you know, got me thinking it would be nice if the game had a non-binary option. Like, logistically, I don't think it would be hard to implement. It's the same as either one of the genders, just different pronouns. Like, come on, I think the non-binary people deserve to be represented in all the games. A non-binary person gave us annoying orange. Come on, they deserve to be appreciated. But on that note, I think I've somehow ran out of things to say. That's not true. I'm deciding to stop talking. Mercy be upon you. Thank you for hearing me out. I don't know how to end videos, so I'ma just pass out. Bye!